It was a summer night like any other in our small town, where the most exciting thing to do was either hang out at the local diner or drive out to the secluded lookout point. My two best friends, Jake and Danny, and I decided to do just that. Take a drive to the lookout to enjoy the warm evening air and the stunning view of the city lights below. Jake had just gotten a new car, and we were all eager to take it for a spin. After grabbing some burgers, we hit the road. The lookout point was about a 45-minute drive through winding country roads, surrounded by dense forest on either side. The road was barely lit, making the drive eerie, yet exhilarating. We were laughing, sharing stories, and playing our favorite songs on the stereo. The night felt perfect, almost too perfect. When we finally reached the lookout, it was deserted, as expected. The place wasn't exactly a popular hangout spot. Most people were either too scared to venture out there at night or simply didn't know about it. We parked the car facing the edge of the cliff, overlooking the sprawling city below. The view was breathtaking, with the stars twinkling above and the city lights shimmering in the distance. We got out of the car, grabbed a couple of blankets from the trunk, and spread them out on the ground. Jake and Danny started joking about how this spot would be perfect for a horror movie, with the isolation and all. We laughed it off, though deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The silence around us was almost oppressive, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. As we settled down, talking and enjoying the view, we suddenly heard a faint rustling sound coming from the woods behind us. We all froze, straining our ears to catch any other noises. Jake, always the brave one, shrugged it off as an animal. But then the rustling grew louder, followed by the distinct sound of footsteps. Panic started to set in. We were miles away from the nearest house or road, and there was no reason for anyone else to be out here, especially this late at night. The footsteps grew closer, and before we could react, a figure emerged from the shadows. A man, tall and gaunt, his face hidden under a hood. He stood there just a few feet away, staring at us in silence. Jake quickly jumped to his feet, trying to act tough, but I could see the fear in his eyes. "Hey man, can we help you?" he called out, trying to keep his voice steady. The man didn't respond. He just stood there, his breathing heavy and labored as if he had been running. Suddenly, without warning, the man pulled something from his pocket. For a brief moment, we thought it was a weapon, but as the moonlight caught the object, we realized it was a camera. He started snapping pictures of us, the flash blinding in the darkness. We were too stunned to move, our minds racing to make sense of what was happening. Jake finally snapped out of it and yelled at the man to stop, but he ignored him, continuing to take pictures. The situation was spiraling out of control, and we knew we had to get out of there. Danny grabbed the blankets, and we all bolted for the car. The man didn't chase us. He just stood there, photographing us as we scrambled to get into the car. Jake floored the gas pedal, and we sped away, hearts pounding in our chests. We drove in silence, too shocked to speak, our minds replaying the bizarre encounter. As we reached the main road, Danny broke the silence, asking if we should report it to the police, but Jake shook his head, insisting that the man was just a weirdo trying to scare us. For a while, we tried to forget about that night. We didn't return to the lookout point, and the experience became a story we told only when we wanted to spook someone. But about a month later, things took a darker turn. One morning, as I was leaving my house for school, I found an envelope on my doorstep. Inside were several pictures of us from that night, grainy, poorly lit, but unmistakably us. There was no note, no explanation, just the photos. My heart sank, and I quickly called Jake and Danny. They had received the same envelope. We were terrified, unsure of what to do. The man had somehow tracked us down, and the thought of him knowing where we lived was chilling. We finally decided to go to the police, but like in your story, they couldn't do much. They took our statements and the photos, but told us it was likely just a prank. Weeks passed and nothing more happened, but the fear never really left us. We started avoiding the lookout and kept an eye out for any signs of the man, but he never showed up again. To this day, we don't know who he was or why he targeted us. The photos eventually stopped, but the memory of that night still haunts us. It's a reminder that even the most peaceful places can hold hidden dangers, and sometimes it's better to stay where it's safe rather than venturing into the unknown.